going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of The Lead Houston, where it's all Houston all the time. And I got another very special guest in front of me. His name is Will Kunkel. He is the sports director for Fox26. And ladies and gentlemen, a guy that loves sports has just as much as a passion for the arts, the fine arts. This man loves Broadway. I was shocked, actually. I've never met a man that has loved both, and so
hey,
I'm
dual
excited.
faceted, brother.
I'm excited because I'm not gonna lie, I don't know the fine arts that very well. Besides just what I did in high school, and I was very interested in it. Never really delved deeper besides just a little bit of school and stuff like that. But yeah, man, let the people know who you are and a little bit about you.
Well, I appreciate you having me, brother. This is awesome. I hail from the Northeast. I've bounced all over the country trying to get to this spot, and now here I finally am. That's included behind the scenes. I actually worked on Mike and Mike for about 2 years behind the scenes with those guys when that was a show. So you could probably tell you how old I am. And then it was to Northwestern, and then finally got my first on-air job at Fargo, then Toledo, Wichita, Charlotte, and now here. So it's been a grind. It's been a journey. It's been a blast. And so that's where my love of Broadway comes from, is literally Broadway. Yeah.
That makes quite sense. Northwestern, it's like everybody that goes to ESPN. Oh yeah, I graduated from Northwestern, by the way. I'm like, okay, man. Is there a handshake agreement, at Northwestern? As soon as you're done, it doesn't matter what you do. You're going to ESPN for at least 6 months. That's just how it
works. I wish. I went the vice versa. I used
okay.
ESPN to get to Northwestern, which I guess was the handshake just to get out.
Nice. Yeah, so this is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to definitely talk. It's game week, so we're going to talk some Texans, some Colts, and we're going to deep dive a little bit into that, of course, and talk a little bit about the extras. And, obviously we will wrap it all up with a little score prediction, see what you got going on the brain. I'll say this: Chancellor Johnson said that he wasn't going to be a blowout, but then he goes to the score prediction and tells me 28-14.
Damn, Chance.
I'm like, buddy, you told me it wasn't going to be a blowout. He said they were going to pull away at the end. So
Chance is a great dude.
I love him, man. That was a great episode. If anybody missed it, make sure to check it out on the Lead Houston. I definitely already got it posted. So again, appreciate every single one of y'all. Y'all are watching. Y'all know what to do. Y'all know the drill. Smash the like button. Easiest smash of your life. You go down in that comment section. You let me know how's the video, how Mr. Kunkel's looking today. Obviously, he's got the ties behind him. I'm loving this. He's got the fit ready. Yeah. He's got fits ready. He's just got fit on fit. He's excited. So we're definitely excited. You already know. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers. Appreciate you coming on, Will. This is going to be a lot of fun. So besides just Broadway, and I think this is just a great direct correlation, you're also a very religious man. Yeah. And I mean, how perfect is it that the Houston Texans, and I'm not saying there's plenty of other football teams, I just feel like it's been known more, especially with CJ Stroud at the quarterback position. Man, he's definitely a man of God, and you're someone that is very religious as well. Have y'all connected already, or what's behind the scenes here?
Yeah, we talked about it early on. We sat down in a one-on-one when I first got here, and I brought it up and we talked about it. And he really opened up about it. I think it was kind of refreshing for him versus talking about the same old football stuff. Mm-hmm. Because when you do have a strong faith, you really do want to share it. And you want to talk about it. And it's so prevalent in that locker room, whether it's with D'Amico or Will Anderson or CJ Stroud. I mean, there's a bunch of guys. I just named those guys because they're the leaders. So they really talk about it at the podium. They don't shy away from it. They really rally around it. Brevin Jordan is deep in his faith. And they did a lot of work in the offseason together too. And it's brought this team really, really close on a different level. And I think that's why they had such success early, because when you know the why of the guy to your left and to your right, you go a little bit deeper. And when you know that he has that same faith that you do, you guys know that bond's a little bit tighter versus you see him at practice, you see him in the locker room maybe a little bit, you don't really talk, and then you see him on Sunday, and like you just there's no relationship there. When you do have that deeper bond, you fight a little bit harder and you do the little bit extra work. So CJ and I hit it off pretty well about that. And then my wife, funny story, in that last game against the Colts, sat next to his mom, because my wife will travel with me whenever she can, because she's all on the Texans fan wagon now, and sat right next to CJ's mom. And CJ's mom prays literally every single play that he's in. And so they started praying together, and they hit it off, and just a really good family. You can tell he was raised right, and I think that goes a long way too with his success, because it creates to him being a captain and a leader, and really a pillar of our community now.
Wow, man, that's very good insight there. You said you seems like attracted, and at least implied attracted to this job here in Houston. I'll say this, man, that you're filling in some big shoes.
I know, man. You ain't lying.
For someone to be attracted to the Fox26 job, I mean, Mark Berman's probably somewhere right now already grabbing the inside scoop, at the first scene, wherever airport, XYZ. I know he's already there.
Man, Mark is a stud.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're filling in for him, man. How are you feeling about this?
It's been a blast. Like, it's been a great way to open up so many conversations with people in the community of, I'm filling in, I'm replacing Mark Berman. And, I remember saying, I didn't know how to phrase it all at first, because I didn't think it was rude, but I didn't want it to ever be perceived rude. Like, I'm replacing Mark Berman, as if like I kicked him out, which obviously did not happen. He called it a career after 100 years. And so I'm now replacing him. It's just how it is. And I said to Dusty Baker in the dugout one day, I introduced myself and I said, I can't remember the word I used, but he said, "You're replacing Mark. Like, there is no more Mark. You are you." And so from then on, it was just a great way to kind of open up conversation. I say I'm replacing Mark, and everyone has a chuckle about, just how much of a dog that guy was and how much news that he broke. And he's been great to me from the moment that I got here, even prior to when I got here. He's been a huge help. So I know he's enjoying retirement, and he's starting to breathe a little bit too.
Any connections to Houston?
Nah, not really. None at all, actually. Not really. Zero connections. And I haven't had a connection to any town I've ever lived in for my career. And so it's been a blast to see this country and different states and different cities. I've moved everywhere alone until this move. This move, I moved with my wife because we met in Charlotte. So it's been a adjustment period for her, because she's from the Charlotte area. She grew up in Asheville, lived a lot of her adult life afterwards in Charlotte. So she misses home, but she loves Houston. It's just not home for her, which is completely understandable. I'm more of a chameleon, where I don't really care where I am, because I haven't been at home since high school. But we love Houston, and I don't know how you can with the success of the sports teams. We were talking about it last night. She was like, what a blessing it is to be in Houston, like right now, between the Astros, the Rockets on the climb, and now the Texans relevant for a Super Bowl.
Great segue, huh? Let's get into it. Texans Colts. It's game week, man. It has been the long-awaited Sunday football game between the Texans and the Colts. Look, you asked Jalen Petrie, and he, I would say, brushed off the rivalry question you had asked. But I'll ask you the question, man. Do you think there is a rivalry between the Texans and the Colts right now?
Like, I don't know if it's fair to call it a rivalry, because the Colts have kicked the Texans' ass for a long time, and they were relevant. The Texans weren't. Having said that, anytime you're in division and you have two good teams, it's going to feel like a rivalry that week, or that season, so especially emotionally. So it's a rivalry in that sense. The Texans are a young team. Like, that's not a secret to anybody. So they don't have those rivalries that are really built in over a long period of time, like the Steelers do, or the Cowboys, or the Giants versus the Eagles, the Redskins, or with the Commanders, excuse me. Those rivalries in the NFC East are deep, and they were rooted in their it's like more than 100 years. The Texans are younger, so their biggest rivalry obviously is the Titans. And it's a natural rivalry, but the Titans aren't very good right now. So it feels like it's the Colts. And when you don't have a real rivalry, it's whoever the best team is next to you. So these guys, I don't think they love each other, and I think that helps. And I think it will be a little bit of a chippy game at times because of that.
Speaking of that, Zaire Franklin, linebacker for the Colts, he's definitely have also spoken up about CJ Stroud's comments. But just today, about 8 hours ago, I don't know if seen this quote from him, but it was a message to the fans for Sunday. And this is coming from Kevin Bowen, who is a radio host and a content producer there in Indianapolis. But it says, a lot has been said specifically about our city. I'm looking forward to Indy responding on Sunday. What is your immediate reactions to Zaire Franklin, his message to the fans?
Well, I have no idea what he's even referring to, but I will say this: CJ did nothing but say how loud that place was. He said it was the loudest place he's ever played in the NFL. So it's certainly not a shout out to anything CJ has said, at least not that I know about. So shout out to Zaire to call out the fans and get them out there and get rowdy, because that fan base in Week 18 was in the seats early and loud for all the pregame festivities. Yes. So you felt it quickly. And it's something the McNairs have harped on the Texans fans about, get your ass in the seats early, stop tailgating, one cocktail early, and let's get the place rowdy quickly versus midway through the first quarter, because it was palpable and it was noticeable in Indianapolis Week 18.
That's a lot easier said than done, Will. You get a few drinks in you, and then you're going, hey, man, I'm supposed to walk this way.
And it's fine, but you have a choice. You have a choice. Either pregame, make it loud and make your environment feared in the NFL, or take care of yourself and have a cocktail. I'm just saying, you have a choice.
I don't want too many. Zaire Franklin.
It's a drink on game day, though. I envy
that. Yeah. Hey, man, me, myself, and Ruben. Ruben does 713 Houston Sports.
Yeah.
We have a great time at the tailgate. So
awesome.
Lots of fun, lots of fans there, lots of rowdy fans.
Shut down the tailgate 10 minutes early. Get your ass inside and make it loud. Make that home.
Hey, here we go. Here we go. Bring the energy, Will. I love it.
I'm just saying, it's damn, it's up to y'all. Do it.
It's true. It is true. It is true. I have similar sentiments when it comes to the Houston Astros. They not necessarily tailgating, but man, I would like to see some more butts and seats when the games are coming on soon. Zaire Franklin's quote, by the way, it's referring to CJ Stroud's comments on the $1 million worth of game podcast. It's an implication, I'll say. Just because CJ Stroud had mentioned EJ Speed by name, said, if you were going to do something, why didn't you do something then? So there's been some comments.
That's the fun, and that's the stuff how you build a rivalry. It's stuff like that, because then it will come out on the field in some fashion, and so that's how you start building a rivalry.
There's a lot of fun between Colts fans, Texans fans, and the players on the field. It's palpable. You can feel there's something there when both teams are going to be colliding in the afternoon on Sunday. Look, DJ Bieniemy he picked the Colts to win this division, and then he comes on your show, Kicking It with Kunkel.
I beat it out of him.
And I was about to ask, how did y'all do it? How did y'all make him switch? I mean, what's the answer? What's going on here, man? National media, he's like, Colts, and everyone's like, see, not even your Texans reporters believe in the Texans. I'm like, oh, come on, DJ. Now it's, see, he goes on local, he gets peer pressured into picking the Texans. I'm like, oh man, we can't win. What's going on here, man?
So first of all, anybody that hasn't seen the episode, it was a great episode. I had Cody Stutz on with HoustonFootball.com. It's called Kicking It with Kunkel. It's a relatively new show that we've started. So head on over to YouTube and type in Kicking It with Kunkel. There's a whole litany of episodes at this point. But in DJ's defense, it's not his job to believe in the Texans, right?
Yeah.
So going in, I wasn't far-fetched at that point to think all right, Colts were one catch away from beating the Texans last year in Week 18. And they're a good team. So it's not far-fetched. He changed his mind, this is according to him, because the reports coming out of Indianapolis are that our AR, Anthony Richardson, ain't looking all that. So then he spent a time all training camp being with the Texans. So he saw how good they looked and then heard how the reports weren't good out of Indianapolis. Said, all right, I'm going with the Texans. So he did it before the season, so I'll give him credit. And he did it on Kicking It with Kunkel, so I'll give him 2 times credit.
He did it on camera.
Yeah, like I'm all right with that because in the offseason, you don't really know how it's going to unfold. I mean, remember how everyone was all pissed off up in arms at Nick Cassera during the first day of free agency that they didn't do anything? Well, I don't think they're really singing the same tune right now. So you got to let it all play out, get to the start of the season, then make your predictions. Like DJ, that was DJ's first mistake. He made his prediction way too early.
Fan is short for fanatic.
Okay? Yeah,
and we definitely are some fanatics. I can definitely be in that boat sometimes. I'm not afraid to throw myself in there every once in a while.
It makes it fun. It's good.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And let's get into. I don't know if you were at practice today, but we did get to see the injury report come out today. Clean bill of health, man. I mean, MJ Stewart did not practice, but the talk of the town is Will Anderson Jr. He was out there. I don't know if you were at practice. I don't know if you saw him. If you did, how did he look out there?
Looked good. He was doing lateral movement, backwards movement during the warm-ups. He practiced. He looked good. Like he looked as good as you could possibly want him to look when you were kind of up, not sure what was about to happen. And then in the locker room, I asked him, I said, hey, you going Sunday? He goes, 100%. Absolutely. Like for sure. So like he's going. He's geeked up to be going because remember last time he was there, he was all sorts of gimpy. And he was not able to do anything that he knows he can do because of how limited he was. So he's excited to get back there. Crazy stat for you. He didn't start that game. So John McClain was actually talking about this today in the media room. He didn't start that game. He played. There are only 2 starters on the defense right now that started in that game in Indianapolis Week 18. Only 2. Jalen Petrie and Derek Stingley. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Kind of like that's a wild stat.
It is a very wild stat.
Because it doesn't feel like there's been that much turnover, but there really kind of has.
Yeah. You don't think it has, but this offseason has been, I mean, we've talked about the offseason to ad nauseum, about the hype around this offseason, about how many additions that you've added, whether defensively, certainly offensively. I asked Chance this, what are you excited about to see? Are you excited to see the offense or the defense at work?
I'm excited to see the offense. Like it's going to, if it works, which I don't have any other reason outside of maybe some line protection in the inability to run the ball as they would like to. There's no reason it shouldn't really work. And it's going to be fun to watch all those weapons get to work because if they click, it's going to look unstoppable at times. I'm a little bit more nervous defensively, especially against the Colts. We'll probably get into that a little bit later. But I am so excited to watch this offense because win, lose, or draw, it will be an entertaining watch. And that's at least something you can hang your hat on week in and week out versus, in the past, you didn't really know what you were going to get. At least if you're going to lose entertainingly, and they couldn't even do that. So now you can not only win, but it can be fun as hell to watch.
Coin toss right now, heads or tails? What are you picking?
Tails every time, never fails, baby.
Tails, you win. You receiving? Or are you throwing the defense out there first?
Throwing the defense out there. I like to set the tone, get the ball back in the second half, because that way you have the opportunities to score at the end of the second quarter if it lines up that way and get the ball back.
See, it's the Bill Belichick Madden football, fiasco. I was the same way in Madden. I was like, man, I'm throwing the defense out there. I'm pretty confident how I can score. And then Bill Belichick would just double up on you or hamburger you and just try to score before the half and then try to score right out the gate in the beginning of the third quarter. I'm the same way. Give me the defense out there first. I thought Chance brought up a pretty good point of, that crowd is going to be really live and energetic. If your defense goes out there and gives them a 3 and out, now you pipe down the noise. And, now it's like, oh, crap, 3 and out. All right. And offense didn't look as good as we were hoping. Let me see what the defense can do. And then CJ Stroud's out there with his weapons, just slinging whatever he can throw out there and the numerous weapons that he has. This is going to be a fun game. It's definitely going to be a tough game as well. You've mentioned we were talking about this offseason and the moves, and I've seen you consistently tweet out about the rat poison reference, and you had, your question with D'Amico about it. Are there any concerns? I know you've gotten a lot of great answers, but do you have any concerns about maybe the hype getting to this team?
There's no real concern, no, because I think it's a player-led locker room, and I think it's a very mature locker room, and their leaders are their best players with CJ and Will on both sides of the ball. So I don't have any that doesn't mean that they can't take a nibble of some rat poison at a given time. Like, they're all humans. They all can lose focus at a given moment, or like we saw it again. Like, look back at the losses that they had last year, the Jets, Falcons, and Panthers. That right there is because you lose focus against some very bad teams and bad quarterbacks, and you get snake bit because of that. It's not because you weren't better. Like, you're a better team. The Jets game was a little squirrely because of the weather. CJ got knocked out towards the back end, but whatever. The point is, it can happen, but by no means do I think it's going to happen consistently for this team at all, because they're player led and they're chasing something together versus some individuals running around doing their own thing.
The talk around everyone, it seems like, when they're asked about the expectations for this year, I've constantly heard the term that will give me chills down my back, and it is Super Bowl. And it is something that obviously every NFL fan wants for their hometown team. But man, football controls the city of Houston. And I know the Astros have done their thing and they've been amazing. But at the end of the day, the talk of the town the Astros can win a World Series. They might be the talk of the town, but what will dominate the circles and the water talk is a 4-12 Texans team. And football is just king here in Houston. It is what it is. What are your thoughts around the players consistently mentioning Super Bowl as expectation, or, an implied expectation?
To be fair to them, they don't bring it up. They're asked
Sure.
about it. So they answer the question truthfully that their expectation is the Super Bowl, and it should be. And it's no different than anybody else's, and theirs is just real. So it's new. It's a new expectation to this team. So the fan base is all like, whoa, damn, it's crazy. And then you're like, damn, pump the brakes a little bit. And then you get a little nervous because you get into that camp of, if you get too excited, it feels like Super Bowl or bust. And I don't think that's the case with this team at all. I think they're in that conversation. I think it's, the tier one, like the first tier of teams in the NFL is Chiefs, Ravens, and 49ers. And below them slightly, the Eagles, Texans, and you can throw another team in there if you want. So those are the teams that are truly fighting for a Super Bowl, and the Texans are fighting to get in the Super Bowl if they get to the AFC Championship game. I was saying the other day, I'm kicking with Kunkel, I think they have a better – if they get to the AFC Championship game and win, I think they'll be favored in the Super Bowl. It's going to be harder to get to the Super Bowl than it will be to win the Super Bowl because the NFC is so weak. Albeit you only play one team, so the 49ers could be just who knows if they're healthy.
It's almost pencil in the 49ers, it seems like now.
Yeah, like it does feel that way because the NFC is so weak.
Yeah, it's crazy to see. And, I kind of wonder sometimes, are the 49ers going to be the NFC version of the Buffalo Bills? Like,
damn.
That's a tough out, man, every single time. It's a rough look.
They would have won last year if Greenlaw didn't get hurt, because he was shadowing Travis Kelce the whole game and he had nothing. And then as soon as he got hurt, that's when it all went downhill.
Chiefs, there's definitely been some talk with the national media about who could take down the Kansas City Chiefs. And you get a mixed amount of answers, but Louis Riddick, and let's be fair, the Texans have been the darlings of national media. The spotlight has been on them. Kind of feels like a little bit of catch up that they missed out from last year, especially considering 0 national games last year. But Louis Riddick mentioned the Houston Texans as a team that could slay the Kansas City Chiefs. How much, I guess we'll give it a percentage, that you think the Houston Texans, is it possible they could take down the Chiefs?
I'd say like 45%. The Chiefs have been there. They've done that. They've got Patrick Mahomes. I think you really got to watch out for the Texas kid, Xavier Worthy. We saw what happened with Tyreek Hill. So if Worthy, I worry about Worthy getting off the line time to time, just physically. I don't know how that's going to work, but I have no doubt that Andy Reid's going to free him up. I just like the way, though, that the Texans are built to stop them because the Chiefs aren't an elite running game. Patrick Mahomes doesn't use his legs a ton. You have a good secondary with Kamari Lassiter, hopefully, and then obviously elite Derek Stingley. And then you can go toe-to-toe with that offense. Like that offense with the Texans is probably going to be better than the Chiefs offense because remember last year, the Chiefs offense stunk. And then they got to the playoffs, and Patrick Mahomes was like, all right, I got this. And then they were great. So they can go toe-to-toe, score-to-score, and then I like the defense of the Texans. So I'll say 40-45% only because the Chiefs have been there. They've done that. So until you give them the edge every single time until otherwise sold.
Yeah, man, that's always a fun conversation. I'm always like, man, can it happen? You know, it's always a fun conversation. It's always fun clips, whether it's Louis Riddick, whether it's whoever from national media, especially Mina Kimes. She has been super optimistic about our Houston
Like the
Texans.
answer is yes, it can happen, and that is all that matters. So in years past, can it happen? No. Like, no, it can't happen. Yeah. No, not even close. But now it can happen. Whether it happens or not, who knows? But being in the conversation and being in that game and being relevant is what you shoot for, at least on paper and idealistically. And then when you get there, it's time to execute, sit down, and then go after it. So, like, I'm excited for it, man, because, like, there's no team in the NFL they can't beat. I mean, they will beat every team.
Yeah.
Or that they're better than every team, but there's not a team in the league that the Texans can't beat.
Texans Colts this Sunday, man. Let me know, what are your keys to the game for the Texans to snatch a W in Lucas Oil Stadium?
Got to stop Jonathan Taylor, and it's a damn near impossibility for this franchise. I mean, he averages 135.2 yards per game against the Texans in his career. Torches them like 800 some odd yards, and he's unbelievable. And you're without Danico Autry up the middle, and you're without Christian Harris sideline to sideline as a linebacker. Anthony Richardson, not a great quarterback, as we've seen. He's played 4 games. He's only finished half of those games. But if he is able to ad-lib and improvise successfully on this given day, God knows what he can do and what he can make happen. So defensively, they have got to be able to stop the run, and they never have been able to do so. So they need to do that. And I say that because offensively, I think we assume that they'll go out and do their thing. I don't know that the defense will be able to stop the run. That's what I'm most nervous about. That's the key to the game.
What are your expectations then for this defense?
This season or this week?
Yeah, just the season overall, let's say.
So the first 4 games, I'm nervous without Danico Autry, especially game 1. Like, just because you need the bodies up the middle, and he was going to be able to play at least just a role in spelling guys and cycling guys in and out. I'm really nervous without Christian Harris. I was already nervous about the linebacking core in general, sideline to sideline in particular, the way the NFL has played today. Now, I do think when you do get Christian Harris back, that's a boost, and you do get Danico Autry back, it's a boost, and it's part of the back half of your schedule is way more difficult than the start. I just don't like the matchup in particular against the Colts. So, big picture, I think it also comes down to Kamari Lassiter. He's looked good in camp, but he's never played a game in the NFL, and everyone wants to crown him like this stud. And I'm not there yet, not because I don't think so, because I haven't seen him do anything in the NFL yet. So, like, let me just see some film, and then I'm like, yep, all right, I'm on board with you guys as well. So I think that's huge because if you don't have that, then half that field could be wide open. I'm excited to watch Jalen Petrie down in the box and to be able to make some plays and get more physical. I don't think they're going to ask him to play man-to-man down that close to the line at all because I don't think his footwork is there quite yet. And Jimmy Ward's got to stay healthy. And then obviously the beasts on the end of the line, get after it, get to the quarterback. Because if they get to the quarterback, then like all bets are off. And you can have a slouching secondary if it ever got to that point because you're creating a pass rush. So that's where I sit on the defense. Just a little nervous up the middle, week 1.
I know I saw some alignments, and we were talking about, Jimmy Ward and Jalen Petrie now being more in the box and the nickel, specifically a position he was a star position is what he played at Baylor, had multiple success with being Big 12 Defense Player of the Year with Dave Aranda. Now you get the question of who's going to be the other safety with Jimmy Ward. Obviously, a lot of fans have pointed towards Kalen Bullock as that, to key him in there. Is he going to be he won't be the starter when you're looking at watching the TV, but he's taking the starter snaps, like he's taking more snap percentage compared to an Eric Murray, let's say.
Yeah, comparatively, certainly will. And I think I don't know what they're going to ask him to do outside of go out there and just be the ball hawk that he is, because he was always around the ball in training camp and preseason games. And that's all you ask, especially if a young kid and at that position as well. Like, go out there, be a playmaker, be around the ball, and then just make something happen. You're not necessarily asked to do a specific role on a given play. Maybe, I don't know necessarily how they're going to scheme around him, but he's a playmaker, and I love that he's so aggressive and is always around the ball. And that's important at that spot.
Well, we've talked a little bit of everything. We talked a lot about this defense, this offseason hype, your keys to this game. Look, man, we're getting into the territory of dropping a score prediction. Let me know if you got one. If you got a bold score prediction, even better. We love the content here on The Lead. So, hey, man, we love a good soundbite, as always. I know you do. I know I do. So, what's the score prediction this Sunday?
It's not a hot take. I think the Texans win, but I think it's going to be ugly, and I think it's going to raise some red flags on the defense because of the inability to stop the run at times. I think they win 31-24. Little tighter than you would like. One possession game again, as if we didn't have enough, heart palpitations last season with those games. So one possession game, 31-24. I think the offense is just too much with CJ Stroud and the boys.
Hey, 31-24. That's not so bad. Chancellor Johnson at 28-14.
Yeah, like if you hold any NFL team to 14 points these days, for gosh sakes, like, great showing. I hope Chance is right. I hope it's 31-14. We can combine our scores.
Hey, there we go. I had said on Monday on the roundtable, we talk Texans, Jags, Colts fans all together. There's a lot of trash talk. And there's a lot of explicits, and the comment section is nasty. Only the brave survive. Only the brave and only the mightiest survive the comment section in that chat. But obviously it's all love at the end of the day. But I had said 34-20. I think the Texans pull away at the end. I think it's a close game for the majority part. I think the Texans on paper are a better team, and I think they show that near the end of the game. Do you see any rust being a factor? I know there's always the rust card when it comes to the 32 NFL teams, especially in week one. Do you see any rust playing a factor for week one for the Texans?
Yeah, but not because they're the Texans, just because you don't do anything in training camp in the preseason to really get things ready. So I think you usually see some pretty crappy football from time to time in the first 2 to 3 weeks in the NFL because of that. So there will be, especially with poor tackling. And then that's another reason I'm worried about stopping the run, because you got to tackle against a guy like Jonathan Taylor and AR, because AR is a physical quarterback as well.
Well, Will, this is about the end of the show, man. I do appreciate you coming on. I had a blast. I know definitely the fans are going to love this video. They're going to flood the comment section. They already know what to do. If
be kind, guys. Be kind to me, all right?
Of course, man. I know you have some fun with the fans on Twitter, man. We do appreciate all the great content. If anybody hasn't, go ahead, check out Kicking It with Kunkel. He's got great content, great interviews, whether it's Cody Stutes, DJ Bieniemy. If y'all are Houston Cougars fans, he just had Willie Fritz, which was a tough one to watch Saturday, but definitely hopeful that the improving will happen. Shout out to Andy Yanez. Every time I mention my Houston Cougars, I got to talk about Andy Yanez. He's my sports reporter for the University of Houston Cougars. Everything sports there. So shout out to him. Will, you got any last thoughts or anything you want to plug? Now's the time.
Man, just everyone go to YouTube, the Fox26 page, like the Kicking It, subscribe to that page, then like all the videos of Kicking It with Kunkel. I appreciate y'all. The fan base has been awesome. Like, such a great fan base around here. Like, truly, it's fun to interact with on on what is now called X. So find me on X at Will Kunkel Fox and communicate, and let's have some fun. Let's have a hell of a season. Like, this is going to be fun. This is going to be a fun year. I'm pumped. Like, I covered the Panthers for 5 years, and that was tough. It was not a lot of fun. This is fun. Let's have fun. Let's enjoy ourselves, and let's get weird, and let's see each other in New Orleans or down the road. All right.
Well, man, I hope so, man. I mean, you talked about tailgating, but then you imagine New Orleans being in that Super Bowl, and
yeah, all right, then show up late to Super Bowl. See how that works out.
Man, I'll be cross-eyed that day. I'll tell you that right now.
$10,000 a ticket. You ain't missing a minute.
Yeah, no, I am not. I'm definitely not. The Texans Super Bowl. I'm definitely drinking, and my eyes are glued to the TV screen. I'm watching pregame, the pre-game, everything.
Exactly.
Man, that would be.
We'll get there when we get there. We got to go 1-0 every week, right? So let's just win the week. You can't get there without. So I did this study. I did this little dive yesterday. The average Super Bowl team, the average Super Bowl winner during the regular season has 12.2 wins per season. So Texans got to get, just mathematically speaking, at least 12 wins this year to get
to win. 12-5 is the prediction. All
right. There you go.
There we go, man. I appreciate you coming on, Will. As always, guys, go Astros, go Rockets, go Texans. You have a blessed day.